I'm Sue Garman. We are in the 12th month of Stars for a New Day, and I'm going to give you one more lesson. This one is on finishing your quilt and doing the quilting in it. Okay, let me start with talking about tools. First, there are all kinds of different marking tools. There's washout markers. There are these white markers that you can mark on a dark fabric with. There's chalk pencils that you can use. There are chalkeners, which have little wheels in it so that you can draw lines with chalk through a template or just on the fabric that you're using. Different varieties of those. There's marking pencils that are on the market. I also like just a plain mechanical pencil that I use, and the best thing that I have found for removing quilt marks, pencil marks, is actually the Statler Mars plastic eraser. It really just whips the pencil mark right off of a quilt. It's very, very handy, and I always have 3 or 4 of them sitting around on my quilting table. Next, there are all different kinds of tape. I like to use the 1/4 inch tape when I'm quilting a 1/4 inch away from any seam line. If I'm doing cross hatching, I like to use the painter's tape. I can use that also, but I like to use this because then I can quilt on one side and then quilt on the other side, move my tape over, and quilt the next line. Another thing that you can use are quilt templates. I usually make it a point of buying 3 or 4 a year when I go to the big quilt show in Houston. They come in all different sizes and shapes. You may not have an area that fits exactly what you need when you're using quilt templates. So often I will take and I will double up and put a quilt template inside of another to get the width that I need. So you can use multiple combinations of quilt templates. How do you mark with them? Well, you can use a chalkener or a chalk pencil or a regular pencil for these, or a washout marker. You can also take what's called a pounce pad. It's simply a pad. It has a fabric side here, and there's chalk inside, and you just rub it across your template, and you've got your quilt lines there. Now I want to show you how to do some fill work, some feathered fill work, so that if you have a space that doesn't fit exactly what a template is, you can use this to fill in. Let's say that you have an area like this, and you need to fill it in. You can do cross hatching, you can do stippling, you can do whatever. I like to use feathers. What I usually do is start with a teardrop, and then I'll just fill in like this. Maybe I'll draw some more lines with a teardrop on the end. And then I can come in and draw a feather. And I like to backtrack when I'm stitching by machine. If I'm stitching by hand, I won't backtrack. And I just fill like this. I might come in to fill in an empty spot by simply adding more feathers. I might come down here and come up and fill in here the empty spots. And then I'll come on this side and fill in some more. So you see how you can use just a few lines to add feathers to anything. Now, how do you put that on your quilt? You can put your design underneath and use a tracing box, a light box, and trace it onto your design. You can do it directly onto your quilt. One of the things that I like to do when I'm trying to fill in a spot and figuring out what's the best design and how is it going to fit best is to take some vinyl. You can buy it on a roll at the hardware store. Sometimes you can get it at your local quilt store. If you don't have vinyl, you can use a plastic bag. What you do with your plastic or your vinyl is you're going to lay it across your quilt. I like to use either the dry erase marker, but you want to watch out that you don't dust residue onto your quilt, or use one of the wash-off view graph markers. I lay this across my quilt. Let me show you an example here. And I always take and edge my vinyl or my plastic with duct tape or something similar, because the last thing you want is to mark this and have it run off onto your quilt. So mark the edge of your vinyl. If I'm filling this, I would come from this corner across, draw my teardrop, and then I start drawing my fill. And if I like it, then I'll trace it in onto my fabric. If I don't like it, if it's the dry erase marker or the wash-off marker, then I can just take that, erase it, and start over again until I come up with a design that I like. I love hand quilting. It's therapeutic for me. It's where I get to relax and forget about the rest of the day's troubles. Every day's a new day, and it's a great day every day. I've been so happy to be with you through this year with Stars for a New Day, and I hope that you have enjoyed the year very much too. Thank you very much.